Ladies and gents, welcome to today's episode of the Financial Pro podcast, which I am recording live and in person on Facebook. Don't forget, if you're watching this, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and also leave a comment with any questions and concerns that you may have. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the fact that we are approaching episode 200 of the Financial Pro podcast, which launched back in March of 2019. And I'm going to use these episodes up to number 200 to review, to recap, to update some of the key changes that have happened as a result of the pandemic, as a result of the changes that have happened in social media. And today I really want to focus on what actually is automating and streamlining your processes and what is the benefit to you in doing that. But before I get into that, I'll give you some context. So, May of 2021, I completely restructured my coaching business because the world has changed. The pandemic has changed everything. The way in which we interact has moved from a face-to-face world to an online Zoom-orientated world. And everything has to be adjusted and pivot and change. And it's really important that the process that you follow, you're constantly refining, reviewing, tweaking, and improving to interact in the way in which it needs to with today's business world. Because if you're not refining the way in which you do things, then you can't work more efficiently. You can't make more money. You can't delegate and elevate yourself out of your business into more of an operational role of your business, depending on what your goal and vision and dream is. Some of you watching and listening to this are going to just want to be an advisor, which is absolutely cool. Just be an advisor with one or two PAs, offer multiple different services underneath that lovely one umbrella. Whereas if you're like me, back in 2017, I knew that I didn't want to advise day to day. I love talking to clients. I love having conversations about mortgages, but I absolutely hate the degree of paperwork and the down in the detail that you have to go through in itemizing the bank statements, going through company accounts, all the different nuances and changes in the criteria. My passion, drive, and love has become marketing, coaching, inspiration, motivation, driving my team forward. So the process for me became, how do I make things so robust and so systemized and so automated that it gives me the confidence to delegate? And whether you're one person or whether you are a team of 19 like we are at the present time, the process is the foundation. If you're into the bake-off, the recipe that you follow, you have the ingredients, that's the system, that's the team, that's the person, that's the fact finds, that's the conversations, the scripts, and all of that has to follow in a recipe, has to follow a process from 1 to 21 to provide the best level of service, to maximize every lead and sale and opportunity, to make sure that the transition from lead booker to advisor to administrator is absolutely seamless. You have to have that documented, laid out exactly like a recipe for how your business reacts and works. And what you do with each stage of that individual process is you document a checklist for it. Each stage of the recipe, you must put the flour in before you put the milk and the egg in. You have to break it down and actually say, right, this is the order in which we do it. You have a checklist, you have a process document, you screen record using an awesome software called Loom, where you can literally record your screen. It follows your mouse around and it enables you to give that video to somebody else and say, hey, watch this. This is how we use how we do our whatever it is. So you have to focus on process, because with process, it also enables you to identify issues in the business. So when you get a complaint from a client, when things don't go your way, when the communication isn't quite as fast as it should have been, when a client moans generally about something, you can look at the process and go, right, what do I need to do? Where do we need to add a step in? Where do we need to tweak and refine and improve? That's the power of process. Now, why do you want to systemize that process? Is because throughout that process, there's going to be repetitive tasks. There's going to be things that you have to keep doing over and over and over again. And the idea of systemization is to remove the manual labor and the repetitive tasks. And the biggest problem with business and business growth, as much as I love them, is the people. Because we're all individual. We all have a certain way of doing things. But the more you can actually have a refined process and automate and systemize that process, the more your people have to just, I was going to say conform, but that's not the right word. The more the system and the process will do for the people. You know, it takes the thought process out. You just do this action or you just do this step and it creates this action and this result happens. It removes the thought, which means that they can put more energy and effort into the conversation, into the advice, into removing those repetitive tasks. So for example, in the process that we have within my brokerage, we have a structured email with every single step. We have a text message that goes out on some steps. We have seed plants from a sales point of view about our process of this is what's going to be happening in the next 3, 4, 5 steps. So the customer always feels where they are in the customer journey, but also the advisor is able to follow a recipe that's automated and streamlined and structured that makes you more efficient, that makes it possible to write more business. Which, if you can, the reason why McDonald's works in the way in which it does, and they can take anyone, irrespective of intelligence, and put them into the McDonald's machine with inside the, the restaurant, if that's what we want to call it, and put them in at the bottom and work them through the conveyor belt, through the journey to the management structure, is because everything is refined, everything is automated, everything is systemized. It's almost idiot-proof. And if you can have an idiot-proof business, it makes it so much easier to scale and grow and make more money and have more time, have more freedom, more autonomy, more enjoyment, more love, more passion, more drive, and more feeling of safety and security, because every task that you delegate is able to be tracked in a system. Every sale that you make can be measured, monitored, and managed. And I'm a huge fan that I'll talk to you about in later episodes, leading up to this 200th episode, of managing your business by numbers. If you can build a business that's paint by numbers, it is like an automated marketing machine. If you know that you put £1 in and you get £50 back out, and you can do that predictably and scalably, it absolutely transforms your life and your business. And there is a system to do that. There is a process to follow to make that happen. And that's where I've really refined my financial pro coaching business over the course of the last 5 months, since May of 2021, because I looked at what I'd done since March 2019 when I began teaching. And then in 2020, because of the pandemic, I really began coaching, and I became a qualified coach for the second time with a different accreditation. And I made sure that actually what I'd been teaching was great, but it could drive faster outcomes and faster results. Because the problem with continually teaching, as I've seen in property circles multiple times, you go to an event, you have 2 days worth of training, you're really inspired, really motivated, you get back into the office on the Monday, and all those notes that sit there on that pad, you do 1 or 2 of them, and everything else just gets left by the wayside, because there's no accountability, there's no support, there's no guidance. And I am somebody who takes massive action. I've got many clients who take massive action, all fantastic business owners who take massive action and continually move their businesses forward. But that's like the 1 to 5% of the people that are in the room per se. So what I've learned in my own coaching journey, and what's been getting the best results for my team within my brokerage, but also within the clients that I'm working with, is bite-sized chunks. The process, the system, the recipe. If I give you a training and say, right, here's 20 minutes, invest time into watching that. And as a result of watching that, you've got 1 thing, maximum 2 things occasionally to do. It becomes paint by numbers in your business development. And that's really where I've been focusing on, is making sure that the programs that I now produce are step by step, are walkthrough, are idiot proof, you don't need to be a genius. You can literally start at the beginning and work through and understand how to systemize and automate your business, how to have the right conversations at the right time, when to pitch your product instead of pitching your service and instead of pitching your process. This is what really takes things to the next level and helps you to get more results, to take more action. More often than not, you get overwhelmed and frustrated and confused because you look at too much. Whereas if you just know, I've got one thing to do, all you focus on is that one thing until it's done. And then you move on to the next thing. Exactly the same with the recipe in baking a cake. And I'm going to be giving you some of those hints, tips, and strategies over the course of the next few episodes leading up to episode 200 of the Financial Pro podcast, where we're going to be reviewing and recapping everything, because we're now getting ready to scale our brokerage. We're going to be taking that up hugely. I've got some big announcements of it coming that I've been working on behind the scenes, potentially a mortgage network, where we can really change the game within the industry. And do things completely differently. I massively want to disrupt the way in which you think. I want to change and transform your mindset. I want you to get more results and outcome, to have more time to do the things that you love with who you love. This job is challenging. It's always been challenging, and it's the hardest market that I've ever been in since 2003. So if we can really break this down and you can improve your advising knowledge, the way in which you do the job, as well as your knowledge to become a business owner, marketing, sales, systems, processes, people, development, management, finances, business growth is what it's all about. Whether that's a team of 2, because I believe everybody should have one PA, a team of 10 or a team of 20. The marketing, the process, the systems, the people, the sales, it's exactly the same. The difference is, with having 2 people, you have to do majority of those things. When you get to the stage of having, 12 to 13 people, you have a business that can run autonomously without you. You focus on your superpowers, you focus on your passions, you have more time to invest into other areas, which is why I've now got multiple businesses, because I spread my time amongst those. And it's all part of a process and a system that you just have to follow. And it starts with a lesson that I taught my mentees this week on the Future Proof program. And that was how to know your numbers inside out and how to make decisions based on the sales that you've made over the last 3 to 6 months and the predictable income that that's going to generate over the next 3 to 6 months. You have to look at past, present, and future to make decisions in growing your financial services firm. So I hope that inspires you and motivates you and give you some indication as to what automating and streamlining your processes and systems means. It means freedom. It means time. It means speed. It means good customer outcomes. It means making more money. It means removing repetitive tasks. And it means simplifying the way in which your business runs, so it runs like a well-oiled machine. We want Ferraris and Lamborghinis and supercars for businesses. We don't want whatever the other end of the spectrum is. I don't want to be condescending to any form of motor vehicle. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope this gives you some inspiration. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, leave a review. Hit me up on Instagram, because I love having conversations in the DMs. Any questions, any concerns off the back of each and every single episode that you listen to, I always answer. I manage my Instagram DMs, and I love it when you tag me in your stories and I reshare it. And it's been great to get to this stage of 200 episodes. I wonder who I can get for the 200th episode, hey? Something's coming. Have a fantastic day. Remember, now's the time to become pro.